Hello and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to make the most powerful man in the universe. That's right, I'm going to make a bust buddy of He-Man. I'm a huge Masters of the Universe fan, and one of my viewers suggested that I make He-Man. So I thought that would be great. I could make He-Man, that's a good starting point. And then over time, I can make a lot of the other characters like Trapjaw and Merman, and of course Skeletor, and maybe like Scareglow using glow in the dark clay. I think that would be a lot of fun. But for today's video, I'm going to start with He-Man. I'm going to make him out of polymer clay. So we'll get started right after this. I've got a few different styles of He-Man figures here for reference. I thought that would help me make my own style, so I can borrow elements from them, but not just, copy another sculpt. And then I also have my pre-sculpted base here, and I've got brown and beige that I mixed together to make my flesh tone for He-Man. I also mixed in a little bit of white. It was getting too dark. So I'm going to cover my pre-baked base. And then after I did that, I'm going to bulk it up with some more clay to give him some definition. So I'm adding his chin. I also added some cheekbones, and then I'll make his nose. And then I haven't done a human character yet in my Bust Buddies style, so I thought I would do kind of a tic-tac shaped nose. And then I'm just using my needle tool to give him a smile. So He-Man's usually in a pretty good mood, at least on the cartoon. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some more of the brown and beige mixture to build up his muscles. Since this is a character bust, I don't have a lot of room to show his muscles, but I really wanted to bulk up his chest, and I also bulked up his back. And then I'm going to go in with my ball tool and smooth it in, and also add some definition. So along this back here, I want to give him a really ripped look. So I'll take my ball tool and go over that and add in some detail lines and just make him look like he's just shredded. He is the most powerful man in the universe. I mean, he has to look, beefy. So I'm going to do the same thing on the front here. I'm going to go through with the ball tool, and I even decided to use my smaller ball tool to get in just a little bit deeper and add more of a shredded look to his chest. Even though some of this will be covered up with his power harness, I thought it would be a nice touch. Now I'm going to go ahead and bake that according to package instructions. So now I don't have to worry about messing up my sculpt for the body part or the flesh colored part. So I'm doing the eyes. I'm using a white pearl mixture, and I am going to go ahead and add some bacon bond to the eyes to get them to stay in place. Since they just kind of sit in those sockets, I don't want them coming out. Once those are added, I'm going to add the pupils. So I'm just using black clay. I know He-Man has brown eyes, but for most of my characters, I want to just do the white, black, and then white highlights. So I'm going to go ahead and press those into place. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to add the little highlights, so the little light reflections. I got this look from a lot of 2D artwork, but I wanted to translate that into my three-dimensional sculpture. And I really think it adds, it makes it a more cutesy style to have these little highlights in here. Previously on a lot of my sculptures, I would use black marbles or black beads, glass beads, and they would automatically, reflect that light. And I do like that, but I also like adding the white with the black pupil and then the highlights. So for these, I'm doing this method. So I'm getting those placed on there. You see I use my needle tool to pick up the smaller pieces. Now I'm going to work on his eyebrows. Now He-Man's got blonde hair, but he always seems to have pretty dark eyebrows. So I'm wondering if that means He-Man dyes his hair. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm making his eyebrows out of brown, and then I'm just taking my needle tool and going across it to give it some texture, to make them look a little bit fuzzy. Now I'm going to make He-Man's power harness. So you'll see here it's gray on the figure, and it's gray in a lot of it, but I wanted to do silver. And according to the He-Man lore, He-Man's power harness is made up of choroidite, which is a rare Eternian mineral. So I thought it would be cool to use silver as it to give it a metallic look, but it doesn't have to be hard like, traditional silver. It can be flexible because it's this fictional mineral that's, comes from Eternia. So anyway, long story short, that's why I chose silver instead of gray, and I just thought it would give it a neat look. So now I'm working on the straps, and so there are 4 straps that meet in the middle for the center of the power harness. And even though I have a triangular shape and I really don't have a lot of room for the bottom straps, I still wanted to make sure they were partially represented on my bust because I want to make sure like it has that look. I think it would look weird if it was just that middle section hanging there. Now I'm working on his hair. I mixed yellow and brown together to give a kind of a little bit darker blonde look. A lot of those figures the 3 figures I have, they're all different colors. So you'll see how this one's really yellow and this one's a lot darker. And the Funko Pop's kind of in between. And so I kind of went in between these 2. Now I'm adding some texture. This will be on the inside. So I want to add the texture now because I won't really be able to get in there and add the texture once it's attached. Now I'm just going to squeeze it on or press it on to his head so it'll stay nice and attached and kind of form around it. So I'll get that pressed in. Now at this point he's starting to look a lot more like Hulk Hogan than He-Man. So I'm going to go ahead and cover up his bald spot, and I'm going to take a little more of my brown and yellow mixture, get that smoothed out, and then I'm going to blend it in with the clay that's already there because I don't want it to look like he's wearing a toupee. I want to make it look like he's, this is all one piece or not one piece because it's not one piece of hair, but you know what I mean. Like I want it to be one section. I want it to look like it all belongs together. Now once I have that done, I need to add some kind of bangs because this looks weird without them. So I'm going to do these little sections, these little like wisps of hair, because I want it to look like it's got some motion to it. And I didn't want to just do these flat, boring bangs. So I wanted to give the character a little bit of movement, which is hard to do when you're just doing a bust. Once I have that done, I'm going to go over the entire thing several times with my needle tool to give it some texture. Now I'm going to do that little square cross that he has on the center of his power harness. So I'm just using some red clay and I'm just cutting it out with my X-Acto knife and trimming it down to size. And then I'm going to pull it off of the wax paper with my X-Acto knife and pick it up with my needle tool and get that in place. And I'll add a little ball in the center of it. All right, now once I'm finished sculpting, I'm going to go ahead and bake him again according to package instructions. I let him cool down, and here is the finished Bust Buddies He-Man character bust. So I'm really happy how this guy turned out. It was a lot of fun to make one of my favorite characters in my new Bust Buddy style. Let you get a good close look at him. It took me about 5 hours to sculpt this completely. That's counting the base and then doing the skin and then baking again and adding the power harness and the head features. So now that's 3 baking sessions, so that's not counting the 5 hours. So 5 hours of sculpting and you're looking at about 90 minutes of baking plus cool down time, but we'll just say 5 hours of sculpting. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have ideas for something you'd like me to make in my Bust Buddy style, please leave it in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and remember, never stop creating. Bye! If you want to see how I make the base for my character busts, be sure to check out my mascot character bust video. Also, if you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to my channel and ring that notification bell so you know when I post a new video. I try to post at least 1 video a week.